The Secret of the Abandoned Station, Episode 5. James stood on the platform of Grey Hollow Station, the glowing key clutched tightly in his hand. The shadows that swirled around him seemed to whisper, their voices mingling with the cold wind that swept through the station. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Return the key as the whispers demanded, or keep it and face whatever consequences awaited. He stared at the station sign, its letters barely visible in the dim light. The station had secrets, and he had only scratched the surface. Holding the key made him feel as though he was holding a piece of the past, a fragment of the truth that had been buried for so long. But there was something more, a sense that the key was both a guide and a curse. Taking a deep breath, James began walking toward the tunnel once more. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, urging him to make a choice. Return the key or face the shadows. As he stepped into the tunnel, the symbols on the walls flickered to life, glowing faintly as he passed. The air was colder now, and the chill seeped through his jacket. His lantern cast long, eerie shadows, and he felt the presence of something lurking just beyond the reach of its light. Deeper into the tunnel, the ground began to slope downward, leading him into the heart of the station's mystery. The walls expanded, opening into a cavernous space that stretched far beyond his lantern's glow. Ancient pillars lined the hall, and the floor was covered in intricate patterns carved into the stone. James paused, his breath visible in the cold air. The atmosphere was charged, and he felt as though he had stepped into another world, one where time and reality twisted together. At the far end of the hall, he saw it, a massive door, towering above everything else, covered in the same glowing symbols that adorned the walls. He approached cautiously, the whispers growing louder. The door felt alive, pulsing with energy that made the air hum. James reached out, and the key in his hand began to glow brighter, resonating with the symbols on the door. He hesitated, knowing that whatever lay beyond would be the culmination of everything he had discovered. With a deep breath, he inserted the key into the lock. The door shuddered, and the ground beneath him trembled. Slowly, it began to open, the blue light spilling out and casting eerie shadows along the floor. The whispers reached a crescendo, and for a moment, he felt a presence surrounding him, as if hundreds of eyes were watching his every move. As the door fully opened, James was met with a sight he could hardly believe, a vast chamber filled with the remnants of an ancient civilization. Stone pillars, adorned with intricate carvings, rose high into the darkness above. In the center of the chamber stood a massive stone pedestal, and atop it, an enormous hourglass filled with swirling blue sand. James approached the hourglass, feeling the energy emanating from it. The whispers had ceased, replaced by an eerie silence. The sand within the hourglass moved as if alive, swirling faster as he drew near. He reached out, his hand hovering over the surface of the glass. Suddenly, the room was filled with a blinding blue light. James shielded his eyes, feeling the air grow electric around him. The ground shook, and the hourglass began to crack, its surface splintering as the sand within churned violently. A voice echoed through the chamber, deep and ancient. Time has been broken, the veil is lifting. James stepped back, panic surging through him. The hourglass split open, and the blue sand poured out, swirling around him like a storm. Shadows emerged from the sand, their forms shifting and merging into figures he recognized. The ghostly faces of those he had seen in the station's portraits. They reached out, their hands clawing at the air as they whispered his name. James, you must fix what has been broken or be lost forever. He stumbled backward, the blue sand encircling him like a whirlwind. His lantern flickered, and the light grew dim. The figures closed in, their eyes glowing with the same blue light as the symbols on the walls. James felt their cold touch, and for a moment, the world around him blurred, the lines between past and present merging. The voice boomed again. Restore the hourglass, or time itself will consume you. With the key still in his hand, James knew what he had to do. He fought against the pull of the sand, pushing forward toward the pedestal. The shadows clawed at him, their whispers pleading and desperate. Save us, set us free. He reached the base of the hourglass, the blue sand swirling around his feet. The key glowed brighter, and he thrust it into a small slot on the pedestal. The ground trembled, and the sand began to rise, drawn back into the broken hourglass. The shadows recoiled, their forms fading as the sand re-entered the glass. The room shuddered, and James felt the energy around him shift. The hourglass repaired itself, the cracks sealing as the sand settled. The blue light dimmed, and the shadows faded into the walls, their whispers echoing one last time. Thank you, the veil has been restored. James stood alone in the silence, his heart pounding. The key in his hand was now cold and lifeless, its glow gone. The chamber felt different, the air no longer heavy with the weight of the past. He knew he had done something important, but he also felt that the station's secrets were far from fully revealed. He turned to leave, the massive door closing behind him. As he made his way back through the tunnel, he felt a sense of closure, but also a lingering unease. The station, though quieter, still felt alive. He knew that the story of Grey Hollow was not over. Stepping back onto the platform, he looked around one last time. The shadows were gone and the air felt still. James took a deep breath, the cold night air filling his lungs. The station had given up some of its secrets, but he could feel that there was more than he could ever imagine. With one last look at the station sign, he began walking away, the key still in his pocket. The whispers were silent, but he knew they would return. Grey Hollow Station had become a part of him, and he was certain that one day he would return to face whatever lay beyond the veil. 5.